Have you ever sat with a list of the things that you hate about yourself? The way you start everything and finish nothing. The way you lose one thing that you actually needed today, and it was in your hands 3 seconds ago. The way you assume deep down you're slightly worse version of a normal person, and you somehow manage to live to this point without getting caught. But what if every single thing that you hated about yourself is actually a symptom of ADHD? I literally lived with that doubt like for 20 years, then I got diagnosed with ADHD, and as I learned about the mechanism and research behind ADHD, I figured out that every freaking single thing that I hated about myself was a literal symptom of ADHD, and that changed how I actually see myself and also my self-worth. When you understand that it's actually not a personality but it's a symptom and it's actually treatable, the weight on your shoulders kind of lifts, because the things that you hated about yourself had a name and a mechanism that helps you to understand this whole time. There are 7 major points that I thought that was my personality was actually a symptom of ADHD. So let's go through them. Okay, so the first thing is object permanence, out of sight, out of mind. This is basically forgetting things that exist as long as they are visually in front of you. So for example, like I once bought the same pair of jeans 7 times. Same jeans, like 7 literal freaking times. Because every single time I forgot that I purchased them recently, so I bought the same thing again and again and again, and it is so crazy. And this shows up in actually everywhere, right? Like duplicate purchases, whether that's groceries, books, jeans, or whatever you name it, as long as they're visually in front of you, like you do not know that they exist and you forget about them. And because they were in my wardrobe, they just didn't exist in my mind. And this actually shows up in relationships as well. So whether that's a romantic relationship or a, just platonic or family, whatever that is, I really don't miss people, because if they're not in front of me, they just don't exist in my mind. Like obviously I know that they exist, but they don't really cross my mind like a regular person. So I don't really miss them as long as I'm like calling them on a FaceTime or something, but I just like forget them easily. If they're also not neurodivergent, it's very hard to accept this. And a lot of people think that you just don't care about them or you just don't love them. But it's just that I just forget everything that is not in front of me. So it's not really about them, it's about me. But when I say like this, it just sounds toxic. So I always blame myself for being a very cold-blooded person. But in reality, it is just something called object permanence. And there's actually an explanation behind this. So Russell Brakely reframed ADHD actually as a working memory issue rather than an attention issue. ADHD brains hold like 3 to 2 items at the same time on their brain, where a neurotypical brain can hold from 5 to 7. So when something leaves our visual field, the slot gets overwritten almost immediately because of how few slots we have compared to a normal person. So that's basically the reason actually why my house is built around like external memory and not relying on my memory. So I have like labels everywhere around home because I forget where each stuff belongs in my house. So I just have labels so that I don't forget them. And I also have reminders to call people because otherwise I'm just gonna forget that they exist. The second one is all or nothing attitude. There's literally no in between for me. The word balance does not exist in my dictionary, okay? I've been always an extreme person since my childhood, and I never enjoyed things moderately. Like there's no slow build hobby for me. I'm either hyper interested in that thing and forget about it in 3 weeks, or I'm not interested in that at all. And it also shows up in food as well. So if I'm like hyper focused or hyper like interested in that food, I would eat that food breakfast, lunch, and dinner like for maybe a few days, and then I get sick of it and I don't eat that food for years and years and years, and I actually hate it. It's same as with work. There's no work-life balance for me personally, or even with friendships. When I meet someone new, I'm like hyper interested in them and I want to learn everything about them, every single trauma that you have dump on me. And I'm really good at this. I'm really good at making people trust me. I mean, because I'm a trustworthy person, okay? Like I genuinely am not going to do anything with that. It's not that I want to use you, it's just that I'm hyper interested in you. Not necessarily romantically, I just want to know everything about you. And like also with work, there's no such thing as work-life balance. If I'm in the work mood, only thing that I do and only thing that I'm interested in is work. I do not care about anything else. And I also like thought I just want balance, I just want more peace, but then I realized I actually thrive in chaos. And when there is no no chaos, I'm just bored. This actually reminds me of the philosopher Schopenhauer, where he says like, life swings like a pendulum between pain and boredom, the struggle to achieve desires and the emptiness once those desires are met. And this is literally what my brain feels like all the time. So I just gave up on the world balance, and I just ignore everyone that says you have to have balance, it's too extreme. It's the way that I live. The reason behind this is because ADHD brains actually runs on intensity. The dopamine system rewards novelty, urgency, and a challenge, right? So the boring middle gear just doesn't exist in our brain. It's either all in or nothing, because the boring middle gear doesn't trigger anything in our brain. And because our brains actually struggle with dopamine, it just doesn't trigger anything with us. Actually, Russell Barkley includes intensity regulation as one of the executive functions ADHD impairs. The ability to modulate to dial something to 30% instead of 0 to 100% is the part that's missing in ADHD brains. So if people are telling you that you're too obsessive, you're too extreme, and you should be, you should balance things out, just ignore them, because it's not how your brain is wired. And it's not something to be ashamed of. And it's kind of like same with the third one, which is can start, can stop. It's again, same like all or nothing attitude. Like for certain tasks, it is extremely hard for me to start, whereas for some tasks, I just cannot stop doing them. Like for example, there's an email right now in my inbox that's been sitting like for 10 days for no reason. Probably replying to it is going to take 60 seconds of my time, and I'm aware of it. But I just cannot make myself to do it, even if the consequences are high. I've actually got myself into trouble multiple times because of these stupid stuff. And the other half, interestingly, is the opposite. I'll sit down to do something simple, and then 8 hours later, I found myself like going into a rabbit hole of researching something that is completely irrelevant from the first task that I started. And I didn't even choose that, like it almost feels like somebody is controlling my body, and I am just in I'm just like sleeping, or I'm just like in this hallucination mode, and someone is controlling my body and doing stuff that I didn't intend it to do, which kind of like sounds crazy, but I feel like you'll understand it if you also have an ADHD. And what's actually happening is that Holloway and Rady in Driven to Distraction in a book, they made a case that ADHD is fundamentally about attention dysregulation. It's not that we lack attention, it's more so that we cannot control where it goes, okay? The top-down control over what your brain pays attention is just weaker compared to neurotypical people. The wheel either just won't turn or locks into the wrong direction. So it's not that ADHD people struggle with attention, it's just that it's uncontrollable, if that makes sense. Even though it's trainable, just the default mode is just way harder than neurotypical people. The fourth one is the ADHD tax. I've never came across to this word until recently. So the ADHD tax means that the financial cost of having an ADHD. And for me, ADHD tax is actually huge. And it's one of the reasons why I actually have to be successful, because my day-to-day cost of living is so high, not because I'm living a luxurious life, because I freaking suck at every single thing that adults are supposed to do. Like, for example, knowing the tax deadline. I know the tax deadline, but I still feel late every single year, and I pay fines for that. Or for getting flight tickets. I literally forgot that I had a flight ticket, and I realized that I literally have a flight tomorrow. So I had to like rush and pack. Like, what the hell? Or, buying multiple things, losing things, always paying late fees, forgotten subscriptions, foods rotting in the fridge, or hyperfixation on hobbies and abandoning them, and having a lot of shit around my house because I bought every single thing impulsively for that hobby. Honestly, the umbrella feeling is just like being an adult but failing at it, and you have to pay the financial cost of being that way. This is actually highly correlated with the executive function. So working memory plus time blindness plus dopamine regulation all stacked, and the brain charges a premium every time it has to do something boring, and we end up paying in cash. That's why actually a lot of ADHD people either struggle financially or they become like entrepreneurs and business owners because they're fixated, because they know that it just costs a lot of money for them to live a normal life. So again, all or nothing, right? You either become very successful or you struggle with it and you just hit the rock bottom. What helped me personally is basically assuming that I really don't have any functions of executive function, and anything that it's supposed to do is not going to happen inside my brain. So systemizing every single freaking thing. So if I need to remember something, I'll just immediately put a reminder on that spot in my calendar with multiple reminders, like a week before that deadline, every single day to remind myself. Or like subscription audits every month, like having multiple reminders of it, and also like trying to delegate stuff and outsourcing stuff and trying to systemize everything, essentially. But even if I do that, it's still probably like way worse than a regular person. Another one is now or not now. I basically have only two frames in my brain, which is now or not now. Normal people have like past, current, and future. So you learn from your past and you prepare for your future. But for me, it does not exist. Okay, I almost feel like I experience time in a different way than other people. And when I talk with my other ADHD friends, they actually relate to this a lot, where neurotypical people just find it weird. So let me explain. So basically, my time perception is messed up. Anything that's like a day from now or a month from now, for a normal person will feel different, right? But for me, it just feels the same. It's just not now. And I only focus on the things that are now, that are happening right now, which makes you always on fight or flight mode because you're only caring about the things that are happening right now and you're not really taking care of the future, neither learning from the past. So you repeat the same mistakes again and again and again, and you forget deadlines again and again and again. Every single thing that I have done, like literally happened maybe like a few hours before the deadline. Every single time I would hyperfocus, finish it right before the deadline, and then forget about it again. So this is actually exact reason why every single planner or app or method didn't work for me, because it just assumes that some tasks that is in near future versus in the very far away future are going to be automatically treated differently in your brain, whereas it's not for ADHD brains, right? And also it recommends like using time blocking, for example. It assumes like a smooth gradient between now and not now. It assumes consistent energy. It assumes I can predict on Monday what energy I'll have on Thursday at 2 p.m. But ADHD brains don't really work that way. So we keep failing at planners and quietly assume the failure is all about us. But what's actually happening is that ADHD brains have what researchers call time horizon dysfunction. Urgency releases dopamine and adrenaline. So the brain only fires up when the deadline crosses into now, not 3 days from now. So working best under panic is just the system's default operating mode for ADHD brains. And it just causes a lot of stress, right? You're always stressful. I'm always stressful. And that is the exact pattern that made me actually build my own system instead of buying other people's system, because they just do not get me. And it's called the Kaizen system, and it's actually built specifically for ADHD brains because I built it for myself. One of the biggest difference with Kaizen system is that when you're like inputting a task in Kaizen system, it actually doesn't ask for an hour. Instead, what we categorize tasks is based on their energy and category. I basically sort tasks into 4 sprints. So I treat my day as 4 different chunks instead of times. And I categorize tasks and I batch tasks in those 4 different categories of time. And when I do a task, I go from the first chunk. So the time does not exist. It just exists as a chunk. So in the first chunk, I start my day with the first chunk and I go through all of them. And then maybe I eat a lunch and do the second chunk, third chunk, and fourth chunk. When I started to actually treat them as a chunk and align those chunks with my specific energy patterns, I actually started to achieve way more things and started to be less stressful about what I need to do on 11 a.m. Because my energy fluctuates and my interest fluctuates, it's impossible to assume that the same task is going to take the same amount of time next time. So instead of that, we focus on the energy and we focus on the flow. And instead of time blocking that is designed for neurotypical people, we use a system called sprints. So I just named it, okay? And I've been using this like sprinting systems for like about 2 or 3 years now, and it is probably the only thing that works for me. If you're interested and if you want to learn more about the difference between a time blocking and the sprinting method, I actually have a full dedicated video about it, which you can watch here, like, or here. And if you're interested into my Kaizen system, you can go to my website at rudyohama.com. So if you're either interested in the video or the product itself, you can check the link in the description below. So the another annoying thing is starting everything but finishing nothing. So I might like start something, right, because it pulls my interest, but in the middle of it, another thing would pull out my interest from there and I would just find myself doing that thing. So for example, I might like start cleaning my room, but then there's like a bookshelf, so I'm cleaning the bookshelf, and then I see an interesting book and I start to read it, and then it actually fires up a question in my mind, like, oh, I actually remember this thing from the other book, so I start to read the other book, and then I start to think, oh, what actually does this author like talks about this topic? I'm curious about his opinion. Then I check like his Twitter, and I'm like, oh, I actually want to know about his background. That I search about this background, and from outside it just looks like I start everything and finish nothing, but for me it's just like a one complete thread. Every action is actually connected to each other. but for other people, it's not. So in another third person eye, it just looks like I started cleaning my room and I freaking left it. I read a bunch of books and I'm now researching about this person. But actually, there's a researcher named William Dawson who coined the term interest-based nervous system to describe how ADHD brains run. So the reward signal fires for novelty, urgency, and interest. So whatever thing that fires one of those things, our just brains just goes there instead of what's being done in front of us. But the great thing about this is that when you actually understand this interest-based nervous system, then you can actually engineer your environment to make things more interesting so that you keep doing that thing. That might be the reason why I actually buy a lot of tools, a lot of productivity tools to keep the novelty high so that I am still interested and enjoy working, which is obviously financially not good. It's an ADHD tax, but it just keeps me going, right? For example, this custom-made split keyboard. Do I need it? Absolutely not. But this is one of the novelty and interest that's going to bring to my workspace. Hence, it's going to make me more interested into working. But from an outside, I just look like a weirdo that just can't finish things. And the last one is hyperfocus on performance. And in my opinion, this is one of the hardest ones, actually. I've been always a high performer my whole life because I've been extremely obsessed with results and being a high achiever. The reason behind this is because I do not naturally fit into society, what society expects from me, especially as a female, a young female. So any of the interests or any of the patterns that I show or how I behave, how I act, how I function is not necessarily catered towards what society expects from my position. So I do not naturally have a place in this society. But there's actually a word in Japanese. The word basically goes, deruku wa utareru, desugitaku wa utarenai, which basically means if you're a little bit different than other people, you are going to be discriminated. But if you're extremely different and if you're actually if you're like a genius, then society just accepts you as a person. And when we think about all the historical geniuses, they're all true, they're all weird, but they're only accepted because they show exceptional results. When you think about all the other weirdos, they're not accepted because they're not showing any signs of the things that society wants. So I realized that when I was a very little kid, how different I was, not in I'm like different than other girls, but like I'm genuinely not suitable for society. I realized that. And I also realized that as long as I'm successful, it's actually acceptable. So a lot of neurodivergent people, I realize, that have this tendency. They hyper-focus on performance and actually achieving things because they want to feel like they belong or they want to sort of like get their place. And this actually kind of like makes you fundamentally lonely and fundamentally separate from other people. Other people do not understand you because by definition, ADHD is a minority thing. So a lot of people are not going to get in, a lot of people are not going to understand the things that you do naturally. And it is hard to explain as well because it's a way of functioning. It's not like a preference. I figured if I couldn't fit the shape society expected, I had to be unusually successful to earn my place. So the success was the rent I was paying for being weird or being different. Over the years, I became fine with people not understanding me because I realized that what I actually need is not necessarily understanding, but actually freedom to exist in a way that I want. And this YouTube channel is even like my attempt to do that. Because I was always been weird, I started to put my interest towards online because there are people like me there. Because a person like me online is more acceptable than in a 9-to-5 job or in the corporate world, or in a regular daily life. So I became hyper obsessed on that. Is that a bad thing or is it a good thing? That's for another discussion. But I would say these are the 7 things that I thought that are my personality, but actually come and stem from ADHD. I'm actually curious about yours. Let me know in the comments. I actually read them, by the way. And if you want to learn why time blocking doesn't work for ADHD people and what you need to do instead, then watch this video next.